Well, good evening and welcome to the LBJ Grasslands outside of Decatur, Texas. Tonight's exercise is a field test of the Nextorch T10L. This is an LEP light, which I have right here next to the Phoenix TK30 for a very basic size comparison, just slightly longer. But in terms of general form factor, this is a bit longer, but otherwise very similar to an average tack light. Now, I have reviewed LEPs before, discussed how they work, how I use them in search and rescue. I won't go over that here. I'll get directly into my first experiences with this light based on about 30 minutes of field use in my preliminary evaluation. Also, speaking of first, this is my first contact with the Nextorch brand, and I do want to thank them for sending me this light and making the review possible. In terms of just general construction, fit, and finish, very, very solid product. The only thing that I might comment about is this texturing or knurling here is very smooth. I would have preferred to have seen it be more aggressive, particularly when I'm operating in the dead of summer and it's 94, 95, maybe as much as 97 degrees outside in the dark. My hands are going to get sweaty. You see, this, with a light grip, this slips very easily. But other than that, I've been very pleased with the performance, with the function. Now, I will also point out that Nextorch sent me this tactical ring. I have to hold it over here to the side because the wind is blowing. I don't want it to blow the box down. I am not going to use this tonight. I really want to focus on the light as is, straight out of the box, charge it, and go. Ah, yes, charging. That leads me to my final comment of this introduction. You know the drill. You remove the tail cap, take away the protective layer, charge the battery up. When I first looked at the battery, my thought was, somebody put the battery in the wrong way at the factory. This can't be right. Well, thankfully, I did read through the user manual while I was charging. Yes, the positive end does point towards the tail cap, so that's just something you're going to have to get used to. I also like this partial protection against an accidental discharge. It's very good. You see, I can't hammer on that and make this come on, but it's only partial. If something were to hit down this way, you can put enough pressure on the light to make it activate. Now, there is no electronic lockout, and being an LEP light and the fact that this momentary activation would make it come on in the highest mode, you would want to protect against that. Well, we got to go old school. Yep, there's your lockout. All right, in the next chapter, I'm going to discuss the UI. Chances are you've already been to the website, you've read through the feature list, you may have even read through a review. So if you're already on board with the UI, feel free to skip ahead to the following chapter and we'll get right into what you really came here for, and that is beam shots. If you look closely, you can see we have the tail cap switch and we have a ring. Now, it may be a little bit hard to pick up on the iPhone, but the markings are tack, and then you have what seems to be an increasing level indicator, and then strobe. So tack is basically a way of saying the only way to directly operate the light is via the tail cap switch, or what they might call tactical mode. So the way this works is a half press takes you to the highest output level, and then a full press goes to strobe. The one thing I do like about this is there's a very significant difference in the amount of force that needs to be exerted between the half and the full press down. So it's far less likely that you would want to press to go in to the highest possible mode and accidentally press to go into strobe. That takes quite a bit of effort. The light is otherwise operated by turning the switch. There we go. You just have basically low, medium, high, and then strobe, and then rotate back. All right, that's it. Very simple. I really like simple, so I suppose the next question is, well, what do the beam shots actually look like? Well, once the sun goes down, we're going to find out. So I wanted you to see the area that will do the basic output level test while there was still some daylight. If you look at the center of this view, there are two large trees on the right center and left center, and then three in the middle. Those three in the middle are just over 125 yards from my current position. And so I just wanted to give you a chance to see the display area, because when we light it up with an LEP, you're only going to see a very tiny fraction of what's out there. And so this will give you some additional reference. We are starting out in low mode. One thing I really like about this UI is I've just been carrying the light free inside a front jacket pocket. I can reach into a pocket, pull this light out, and that dial is so easy to locate by feel, even with gloves, and then you just rotate the control counterclockwise to cycle through the modes. There's medium. And then high. And just in terms of diameter, that's a pretty generous beam as far as LEPs go. Be interesting to see what that looks like at greater distance. Well, with that in mind, let's head out to Cottonwood Lake. So we have a bit of moon out tonight. In fact, I've already really been hearing the coyotes. Thought this might make a fun test, although there's a bit more than fun behind it, because it is very common for me to use very, very high candela lights as a beacon, and this is often to direct other responders to my area in the event that medical attention is required that is beyond my ability to give, either by virtue of training or because of the gear I have on me. So yeah, there we go, lighting up the moon. This is of course in high mode, but yeah, LEP lights make the most amazing beacons, especially in a wilderness environment like this where you have a lot of particulates in the air. All right, this is really difficult to tell, but I've got Cottonwood Lake in front of me. I'm probably a good 50 yards or more offshore. If I can get it over here at an angle, you might even see the beam, which is in medium, bouncing off the lake. What I'm going to do now is see if I can find okay, there's the boat slip area. That's a good 350, 375 from this position. Let me bump the mag on the iPhone up. That will add to the noise, but we're in a 3x mag now. And again, this is in medium mode. What I want to do now is drag the tripod all the way over to the opposite edge of the lake, and we'll do another test with well over 700 yards line of sight. Okay, I have my headlamp on 2000 lumen spot. I'm looking back over the lake. Maximum line of sight from here is a bit over 700 yards. Lots of particulates in the air tonight, and that's going to make it difficult to illuminate things at distance. Let me get my headlamp off. And here we are on high mode with the Nextorch. And even with the unaided eye, and this is something I like about that somewhat wider hotspot, I'm able to pick up some detail at the opposite edge of the lake. Of course, in a practical setting, I would use this along with thermal night vision to make detections. The idea behind the LEP light is to turn detection into identification, and at these distances I would definitely need to use a magnified optic. On the subject of magnify, let me bump that up. I apologize for the noise. I'll take as much as I can out in post, but hopefully that gives you a little bit better idea. We're getting what I would say is very good visibility in excess of 700 yards, even with all the particulates in the air. All right, well, I got to make a long walk back to the truck, then we'll head back to the campground and do a very quick wrap up. When I did my first LEP light review, I made the statement that I wanted one even if I had no use case for it. And I think that really does sum up LEP lights, especially if you're into flashlights. You have to get one. And most often when people get one, they want more. Now, once you get past the coolness and the novelty and so forth, and you move more into the practical application of this type of lighting, in my case in wilderness search and rescue, I like simple and I like options, particularly in output levels. This light has a very simple UI. It's 43 degrees outside. I've used it the entire night without gloves, so very cold hands, a lot of wind chill when I was walking across that road to get to the northeast end of Cottonwood Lake. I've had no trouble operating the light. I like having at least 3 output modes as opposed to the 2 that you see in some other models. In search and rescue, I'm most often looking for people, and I have to be very cognizant about the intensity of light that I'm projecting at a particular distance. The last thing I want is to make a positive identification of somebody who has, just collapsed from exhaustion. They moved into a clump of trees about 175 yards away, and they're so exhausted they can't even yell out. And then I blast them with so many candela that I accidentally get it right in their eyes. And, well, congratulations, you're rescued, but now your vision is impaired, possibly for the rest of your life. So I really do appreciate those multiple output levels. The more output levels you give me, the more useful the light is as a practical tool. So in summary, I'd have to say, as a first experience with the Nextorch brand, this has been very positive. I would very much like to review more of their lights in the future. I may actually take this one out to the Oak Point Nature Preserve in Plano, put that tactical ring on it, and do another round of tests, show how it works in a more light polluted urban environment. And if that's something you'd like to see, let me know. But until that time, as always, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching the video.